Parkside Cabin Rentals, affordable rustic luxury in the Smokies. Chalets and log cabins, from intimate to grand. In town or in total seclusion, we can fit any need you have. Visit ParksideCabinRentals.com. Plan your vacation today.
Southeast Termite and Pest Control can help protect your home from animals, trapping and relocating wildlife, fixing the damage they cause, and preventing them from invading your home in the first place. Call Southeast Termite and Pest Control and ask about our many services.
The following is a presentation of Fox 43 Sports. Let's talk Tennessee football. This is the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Parkside Cabin Rentals. Now, your host, John Pennington.
Good Saturday morning, good game day morning, as we're here to get you ready for Tennessee, Kentucky this afternoon on the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Parkside Cabin Rentals. We're going to have a full show for you, good stuff. As I said, this segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals, but this is brought to you specifically by one of their sister properties up in Sevier County, Cherokee Lodge. Folks, it is a fantastic place, the nicest overnight condo rentals in the Smokies, 2- and 3-bedroom units available. Each unit has a living room, fireplace, and mountain balcony, plus a fully equipped kitchen and washer and dryer. Look, that beats a hotel stay by a country mile, right in the heart of Pigeon Forge. The Cherokee Lodge, CherokeeLodgeCondos.com is the site to go and learn more. All right, want to welcome in the panel, first wave of panelists that you got tonight. We got Josh Ward from WNML. From WNML, we have Jimmy Himes right there, and from GoVols247.com, Mr. Ryan Callahan. As I mentioned, Tennessee, Kentucky playing this afternoon. It's the battle for what used to be the beer barrel, except the roles are reversed. Used to be that Tennessee was always ranked and Kentucky wasn't. The last few years, neither team's been ranked. That's changed. Now you got Kentucky in the top 15. Tennessee's looking to pull the upset at home over Kentucky. What do you think we're going to see in terms of crowd size? Might have been more Kentucky fans had they beaten Georgia last week and were sitting as de facto East champions at this point. Still, though, they haven't won at Neyland Stadium since '84. They got a good shot at winning today. They're favored. How many folks do you think are going to be making the trip down from Kentucky? Many?
Kentucky about 1,500 tickets. But
from UT? From
UT, and that's the allotment that they get. So they sold 1,500 through their ticket office. But you have to return those like in August. So they didn't know they were going to be this good. I think they will bring at least 5, maybe 7,000, 8,000 more people. They could have 7,000 to 10,000 people from Kentucky, I would think. Which
would probably be the biggest Kentucky crowd ever in Neyland Stadium. But we don't think it's going to be blue outnumbering the orange.
It'd be about like their basketball attendance when they played Tennessee.
Right, yeah.
Thompson Bowling Arena when they used to bring like 12,000 people down here. No, they won't outnumber Tennessee, I wouldn't think. But I think you'll see the largest Kentucky contingent maybe ever.
Yeah, and I would say enough to hear them. If Kentucky has success today, that you would hear Big Blue Nation in Neyland Stadium.
Well, the reason I ask about Kentucky outnumbering Tennessee isn't necessarily because Kentucky's going to bring everybody from the Commonwealth. How many folks for Tennessee are going to be there? Because it was not a great crowd last week, under 60,000 by most estimates. And then a lot of those folks left at halftime. What do you expect in terms of a crowd overall? Will it be bigger now that you've got an SEC foe coming in here? Or are folks starting to tune it out and look toward basketball?
I think it'll be a good crowd. I don't think it'll be anything like last week for sure. I think this probably ends up being in the 85, 90,000 range in terms of announced. Now we'll see how many people are actually in the seats, but I mean I think there will still be some empty seats, but I'd be surprised if it's anything less than 75, 80,000 in the seats. It'll be a much better crowd than last week. Now the question is how many seats just go unsold, period, and make it kind of a empty-looking upper deck and things like that.
Well, they'll never announce less than 85.
Sure.
Because the ticket's sold. So they will always have something in that range. To me, the two keys. One, I think it'll be closer to 70 or 75. Here's a big key. What will it be in the fourth quarter?
Right.
Weather's not helping you either.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what it's
that's going to have a lot to do with what they're seeing on the field.
How the game's going, but I do wonder, it's going to be cold today. And if you're on the fence, do I want to go to the stadium or not, you might say, well, it's more comfortable on my couch this afternoon than 45 degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see what the crowd's like. I mean, that's going to interest me in terms of how many Vols are there, how many Wildcats are there. I just think it's going to be an unusual look for a Tennessee-Kentucky game, one that we're not used to seeing, except maybe in basketball.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of, they're giving 1,500 tickets to the military, another 1,500 to hospitals, so that'll help boost it. I think an SEC game will help boost it. So I'm kind of in that 70 to 75,000 at least at the end of the first quarter.
Very good. All right, let's talk football. Kentucky's defense is one of the best in the SEC. It's one of the best in the country in one area. Let's go ahead and take a look at these stats if we could. Wildcats number 8 in the nation, giving up 15.3 points per game. That's pretty doggone good. They're number 3 in the SEC with that number. Number 4 in the league, giving up only 17 touchdowns total on the year so far. Number 6 in the SEC, giving up only 3.8 yards per rush. Number 4, giving up only 5.9 yards per pass. Number 3, they've only allowed 7 touchdown passes on the season. And number 4 in terms of opponent quarterback rating. Let's flip it. Let's take a look at Tennessee's ground game specifically, which hasn't been great. Vols number 14 in the SEC, dead last, 3.4 yards per rush. 12th in the SEC with just 11 rushing touchdowns. They average just 2.6 yards per rush against SEC foes. But wait, it gets worse. 3 rushing touchdowns all year against SEC foes. Vols have rushed for fewer than 70 yards in 4 of their last 5 games, and they have averaged less than 1.8 yards per rush in 3 of their last 4 contests. Gentlemen, I don't know that Tennessee's going to line up and run all over Kentucky. I don't think that's the game plan to win here, is to run all over them. You're going to have to throw on them, which is why I put the Kentucky passing defense stats up there too. But specifically, you don't want to be one-dimensional. Jeremy Pruitt says it every week. We see Jarrett Garantano get his teeth knocked out every week because they are one-dimensional for most of these games. Do you think they're going to wind up being one-dimensional today? And a lot of that depends on Ty Chandler because he wasn't there last week, and that really impacted the offense. But do you think this afternoon you're looking at another one-dimensional attack from Tennessee, or does this same offensive line that started this week, last week before that, does it find that nugget that it found at South Carolina? What are we looking at?
I think it'd be foolish to try to implement the same game plan you did against Charlotte. I think it'll be more like the South Carolina game. I thought they did a really good job of mixing things up, throwing passes. They went underneath. They threw crossing routes. They ran misdirection, speed sweeps. I think they did a lot of things to protect their offensive line. They didn't do that against Charlotte. They didn't do it in some other games either. I think if they approach it that way, I think that would be a good way to try to deal with Kentucky. And I think you probably have to throw it 30 times.
Agreed. Does anybody think that Tennessee's going to be able to run on this team?
I think you could run a little bit. And again, you're trying to keep it balanced. You're trying to have some semblance of a balanced offense. I don't think you're going to see Tennessee hit the 100-yard mark. I'd be very surprised if that happened. But I think you can run for 70, 80 yards, find some success here and there. If you can do that, I think you've had a pretty good day overall. I mean, it very well could end up like last week when they finished with 20 yards. With all that being basically on the final drive of the game, they went into the final drive with -3 rushing yards. So I think it's a game where you can be productive, but probably only in small doses here and there.
The keep them honest run game, basically.
Yeah, I wonder, are you hoping to have some chunk plays to where you can find a Ty Chandler run? And that if part is very important for Tennessee, I think, to have success. I think you need to find ways to be creative, like the South Carolina game, like Jimmy mentioned, to have Ty Chandler, Carlin Filsamy, get him the ball a few times. I mean, Tim Jordan, he had an opportunity in the passing game, dropped the football last week. I mean, you can't have little things like that end up being a big problem. So be creative in the way that you try to run or use the passing game similarly to the running game.
Right, and I think that's one thing they missed greatly against Charlotte was when it comes to those little perimeter passes, the guy that does that out of the backfield is Chandler. And without him, your offense was missing that. And I think that certainly could help alleviate pressure off Garantano, those quick little passes in the perimeter. But this team in general, going back to the same offensive line that struggled last week against Charlotte, were you surprised, or what else are you going to do? Have you seen enough to where you say, okay, we just don't have enough people out there?
Yeah, I think it's the latter there. What else are you going to do? At least try it one more time, and you can look at it and say, well, the South Carolina game, that's what you build on. They did well there. But Tennessee is probably more prepared to substitute if needed because they felt like they needed to against Charlotte.
Yeah, look, their offensive line is not very good, and they can play how many tackles they want. They're still not going to be very good. What they've got to do is to try to play call around it as best they can, and have a semblance of success like they did against South Carolina. I think Kentucky's defense is better than South Carolina's. And I don't think Kentucky plays as soft coverage as South Carolina. Still, I think what Tennessee needs to do is to try and implement the underneath passing game, short routes, crossing routes. You take a shot now and then. You take too many shots, your quarterback's going to take shots. So you're kind of in a catch-22.
I just thought it was interesting that last week after the game, Jeremy Pruitt, they asked him about pulling his tackles. He said, well, when you look up and you get 2 yards per rush, you're going to try something else. And yet now he's back to the exact same 2 tackles. I just think that's an interesting fact. So basically it's almost like saying, well, you can't just keep banging your head against the wall, and now you're back to banging your head against the wall, which I suppose just gets back to you don't have any other options.
Right, and that's part of it for sure. I'm not surprised to see Drew Richmond going back in there. The only one I wasn't sure about was Marcus Tatum. He's been a little bit banged up at left tackle, but the next option there is K'Ron Calvert. Never started a game in his career. I think it's a tough game to throw him out there when you've got Josh Allen lining up on the other side of the ball, number 2 in the country in sacks. It's a tough first assignment, so I think you want some experience out there. Tatum and Richmond at least give you that.
Yeah, and Jeremy Pruitt said earlier this year, Calvert's better off inside. So their confidence with him is more at guard than it would be at tackle.
And John, I think you have to be smart about dealing with Josh Allen. You have to help him. You have to help with a running back or a tight end, somebody, whatever side he's on, you got to know where he is and give your tackle some help.
Which the scary thing is, we've seen Tennessee and Max Protect this year give up sacks. We saw Charlotte get to Garantano last week with 3 men. It was a 3-man rush and they got to him. He got hit on a flea flicker, which is a play specifically designed to not get your quarterback hit. So,
and he got hit hard on that play.
Yeah. So the idea of, we'll just have a back chip him. Yeah, we'll have a tight end in there. I hope you're right. You've got to. Will they be able to be effective against him? Based on what I've seen this year, I wouldn't bet the house on it.
Max Protect against him.
Just Max Protect. There you go.
And then see what happens.
All right, very good. When we come back, Tyler White, professional handicapper here in East Tennessee, is going to join us, and we're going to break down 3 key matchups in today's game. Get some over-unders. Come on back on the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Parkside Cabin Rentals.
Did you know English Mountain Spring Water has been named the world's best tasting water? That a French competition declared it a gourmet water? Did you know English Mountain Spring Water is bottled in Dandridge? And it's available for commercial and residential water service across East Tennessee. Clear, pure water with no aftertaste. From an East Tennessee source and a local company providing unmatched service. English Mountain Spring Water.
The Lodge at 5 Oaks, conveniently located within walking distance to some of the area's best attractions, restaurants, and shops. Call now for special rates throughout the week or visit thelodge@5oaks.com to plan your next getaway today.
Since 1971, Southeast Termite and Pest Control has offered free inspections, multiple pest control options, and guaranteed termite prevention and correction. Times have changed. Our service hasn't. Southeast Termite and Pest Control.
Under Tennessee law, you're entitled to money damages for injuries caused by the negligence of others. How much money often depends on the diligence, skill, and experience of your attorney. A Knoxville law firm has been helping injured people for more than 30 years.
At Bill Hodson Associates, we've collected millions of dollars from insurance companies that didn't want to treat injured people fairly. Is your case worth more than the insurance company says? Call Bill Hodson Associates and find out.
When it comes to your business, no one provides better security and life safety systems than Safety Systems. Protect your employees, your products, and your records with a single phone call. Professional technicians ready to design, install, and monitor your cutting-edge fire and security systems. Electric locks and surveillance cameras. Emergency and after-hours response and repairs. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and life safety systems.
Just 60 miles from Knoxville, adventure meets sanctuary at the historic Topoco Lodge. Originally opened in 1930, this renovated, reborn mountain retreat offers cozy, well-appointed rooms, cabins, and suites, waterfront dining, our warm signature service, and plenty of outdoor sports and activities, all within our riverside, creekside, and forest setting. Experience the historic Topoco Lodge, where adventure meets sanctuary.
Parkside Parkside Cabin Rentals, affordable rustic luxury in the Smokies. Hot tubs, pool tables, fireplaces inside and out. Our cabins are perfect for relaxing or entertaining. Visit ParksideCabinRentals.com. Plan your vacation today.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Parkside Cabin Rentals. This segment brought to you by English Mountain Spring Water. Their water comes from an aquifer 2,500 feet below the surface of the earth. Up bubbles 2.5 million gallons of pristine, delicious water every single day. And the water you get delivered to your home, to your office, it's bottled just 900 feet from the spring. It's a short walk. I've made the walk. It is impressive, and it is very good. And I'll tell you that one of the guys here on the set is going to be getting a case delivered to him because he's been won over by English Mountain Spring Water. Isn't that right, Ryan?
That's right.
There you go, Ryan Callahan, playing the role of good water drinker. It is excellent.
It's really good.
So thanks to them. Check them out. Go to their website. Find out for yourself. Another website you can go to, 3forthemoney.win. Let's go over to Tyler White. He's pointing to the name of his website, Tyler White, professional handicapper. People go to that website. They sign up. They get his picks in football, college football, pro football. I'm sure you do basketball, baseball. You do everything.
We do it
there.
all. We do it all.
And you get people that keep coming back, and there's a reason. It's because you're good. So
right.
Every week I ask you to come up with 3 over-unders for us on key matchups for that day's game. And today we got Tennessee, Kentucky. Over-under number 1 is 137.5. What are we talking about?
Rushing yards for UK Snell. Benny Snell, important part of Kentucky's offense. Tennessee has struggled at times to defend talented running backs. He's on a bit of a rough 4-game stretch. He's failed to reach 100 yards in 3 of those 4. But ran for about 300 yards against Florida and Mississippi State, averaging just over 110 yards per game on the season. Tennessee giving up more than the 137.5. We've adjusted a little banged up Snell maybe this week, but 137.5 the total.
They're not a very unpredictable offense, so maybe that's caught up to them. The other thing is he carries the ball so much. He's so much of that offense that maybe he's worn down a little bit here toward the end of the year. But 137.5 for Snell. Over or under?
I will take the under and probably regret it, but I think Tennessee, again, like you said, kind of a one-dimensional offense, an offense you know what they want to do. Maybe that helps Tennessee a little bit. And again, the fact that he's been banged up, the fact that the last couple games they've finished with less than 100 yards rushing as a team, I give Tennessee a shot to maybe he hits the century mark, but I don't think he quite gets to that number.
Okay.
I can't help but look at Rico Dowdle and think if he got 140, Benny Snell would too. Now, you're right. He's been contained recently by some defenses that have stacked the line against him. I also think that the threat of Wilson as a runner at quarterback, which Tennessee really hadn't faced hardly any in that regard, might help him a little bit because they may work in some more zone read type stuff. I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. The fact that it was Florida's defense, Mississippi State's defense, I know earlier in the season, but struggling so much with Benny Snell. Tennessee's defense isn't anywhere near that, and I think about the South Carolina game from a couple of weeks ago. So I think it's a close number there. I think that's a good one. You throw Wilson in there as a combo, I would go over whatever the number that would be. But I'll go over with Benny Snell.
And I will go over for that very reason. I was about to say it would not shock me if I saw Kentucky go for 200 this afternoon. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not all going to be Snell, but I think he'd be the Lions part of it. So I'll go over. We've got Ryan going under. Tyler, which way should we have gone?
We're agreeing with Ryan. We're going under. I think it will be by committee. Snell wouldn't surprise me if he cracks the century mark, but I think he stays under 137.5. As we mentioned, Wilson, a talented runner, but I do think they will have success on the ground, just like you said, not all with Benny Snell.
All right, well, let's talk about the next guy. 49.5 is your next over-under, and that is?
You mentioned it. You alluded to it. Tennessee not facing an athletic quarterback. Terry Wilson certainly has struggled throwing the football at times, had a couple of good games, but he beats you on the ground. As I mentioned, group by committee. He's averaging just under 49. He's actually averaging about 44, not adjusted for sacks, yards per game. Has 4 games where he's ran for over 60 yards. Has 4 games where he's not cracked 18, so he's a bit of an anomaly. We set the total at 49.5. for Wilson.
All right, so Tennessee has their run defense looked like it was actually improving earlier in the year. It's kind of taken a downward spiral a little bit here toward the last 3 or 4 games. Now you throw in another weapon, another element to a run game that you haven't faced. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't know that he'll get 49.5, but if I'm saying 200 overall, I'll take the over with Terry Wilson. I think he'll get his yards.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Wilson maybe has one big run that takes a big chunk out of that where he's able to find some space and take off. So I'll go over.
Okay.
I'm going to go over as well. The first 5 or so games, he was averaging over 70 yards rushing. Now, he's also averaging about 18 yards passing. But he did show the ability earlier to run, and he's got over 400 yards so far this season. I'm going to go over on that number.
This is a really good number, first of all, because I really wrestled with this one. I'm going to go, again, under, but very slightly. I think he still rushes for about 40 yards or so. I just really wrestled with whether he gets to 50. So I'm going to say under, but not by much. And I think Tennessee makes Terry Wilson beat them, but more through the air. And I think he has a better day through the air than expected.
All right. Tyler, which way should we have gone?
Josh is exactly right. If Terry Wilson goes over, it's because it's one long run. I think he stays under, but not by much, in the 35 to 40. But if Kentucky gets to 200 as a team, it's probably because Terry Wilson went over.
All right. What's the last number we got over there?
191.5. It's passing yards for Tennessee. Jarrett Garantano. Not sure that we see Keller Chris. It's a very talented Kentucky defense, so the possibility is certainly there. But 191.5. It's a talented Kentucky secondary. They're giving up a little over 170 yards per game as a defense. Tennessee not going to run the ball, so they are going, I think, to throw the ball. Set this total a little higher than what Kentucky's given up on the season, 191.5.
Who wants to start with this one?
I'll go over. I think if they don't go over, they're in for a long day offensively. I think it's going to take, again, I think if they get to 70 or 80 yards rushing, they've done well. You've got to think you need at least 300 yards of total offense in this game to have a real shot at winning. I think Garantano throws for more than 200 yards in this game, so I'll go over.
There's a chance they could go over and still have a long day.
Yeah,
right. I'm going to go over because I don't think Tennessee will run very effectively against Kentucky, and I think Garantano is a very accurate passer. I think he'll hit some passes. I'm going to go over.
I'm going to go over as well. I also think that Tyler was right to word it that number for Tennessee because he could probably put a prop bet each week. Does Keller Chris play? Because of the concern, especially in this kind of game with the pass rush. But sacks count against rushing yards, not passing yards. So I'll go over on Tennessee.
Yeah, I'll go over, but not by a lot. I could see this being a 220, 225 type game. I don't think Tennessee's going to have a – now, look, I also didn't think Tennessee was going to go win at Auburn, and they did. Who knows? But based on what I've seen from this Tennessee team recently and that Kentucky defense, I just don't see Tennessee having much success through the air or on the ground this week. Not enough to win, I don't think, but we'll talk about that in the next segment. Tyler, which way should we have gone?
Over. If Tennessee gets behind early, they'll be passing late in the game, and I do think they'll try to establish a passing game pretty early on, but I expect Jarrett Garantano or Keller Chris, if it's by committee, to go over 190 and well over 200.
Okay, well over 200. Very good. When we come back, what will it take for Tennessee to upset Kentucky? We'll break that down for you. How Tennessee will win. Come on back.
Southeast Termite and Pest Control can help protect your home from animals, trapping and relocating wildlife, fixing the damage they cause, and preventing them from invading your home in the first place. Call Southeast Termite and Pest Control and ask about our many services.
The Lodge at Five Oaks, conveniently located within walking distance to some of the area's best attractions, restaurants, and shops. Call now for special rates throughout the week or visit thelodge@fiveoaks.com to plan your next getaway today.
Just 60 miles from Knoxville, adventure meets sanctuary at the historic Topoco Lodge, featuring the Topoco Tavern with comfortable seating inside or riverside for lunch and dinner, expanded patio dining, private rooms for events, drinks on the observation deck, and at our multiple bars. Try the Carolina Mountain Trout, a Black Angus choice ribeye, or build your own hand-tossed pizza. Experience the Topoco Tavern at the historic Topoco Lodge.
When it comes to your home, no one provides better security and audio-video systems than Safety Systems. Control everything using your tablet or smartphone, whether it's a hidden TV or the temperature in your home. Lighting, doors that open and close, lock and unlock, cameras that allow you to watch your home from wherever you may be, all at the touch of a button. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and audio-video systems.
Under Tennessee law, you're entitled to money damages for injuries caused by the negligence of others. How much money often depends on the diligence, skill, and experience of your attorney. A Knoxville law firm has been helping injured people for more than 30 years.
At Bill Hudson Associates, we've collected millions of dollars from insurance companies that didn't want to treat people fairly. Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Are you being treated fairly? Call us and find out.
Experience you can trust.
Did you know English Mountain Spring Water has been named the world's best tasting water? That a French competition declared it a gourmet water? Did you know English Mountain Spring Water is bottled in Dandridge? And it's available for commercial and residential water service across East Tennessee. Clear, pure water with no aftertaste. From an East Tennessee source and a local company providing unmatched service. English Mountain Spring Water.
Southeast Termite and Pest Control is locally owned, locally operated, handling thousands of commercial and residential jobs all across East Tennessee. Protect your home with a free inspection and estimate from Southeast Termite and Pest Control.
I was wondering.
Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Bill Hotz and Associates. These folks can't unwreck a car for you. They can't heal injuries you've suffered in a wreck, but what they can do is they can help you recover fair compensation for your injuries and your losses. The law is there to protect you against careless drivers, and the group that helps you use the law in your favor, Bill Hotz and Associates. Folks, get in touch with them. Mark that name down if you are ever in an accident. All right, going to be kind of quick in this segment. Tyler Wyatt, talk to us. I always beg you to give a free pick here. Now, most people pay for these, but we ask you, it's just a few hours till kickoff. Give us your pick, what's been happening with the line, and also you got an interesting stat about point totals in this one.
Yeah, game opened at 3.5. Some thought that was an odd number. Josh and I were talking last week. We thought 5.5. I was pretty confident in that. Opened at 3.5. Quick money came in on Kentucky. 5.5. We saw 6 at some books this week, but down to 5 or 5.5. You can shop around. Total on the game is 41 points. It's the lowest total of any game this season in all of college football. Not a Big Ten team, 2 SEC teams, 41 points. It's going to be a long day. We're going to have to bring that beer barrel back. If you're down at the game today, it's going to be sloppy, I think. It's going to be a tough game. But right now, the number at 5 and the total of 41.
All right, very good. And which way would you go?
We're going to take Kentucky. I do think 3.5, 4, 5, it doesn't matter. I do think this is a touchdown type of game. I think it's probably close for about 3/4. But I do see Kentucky winning in an ugly game somewhere in that 17 to 7, 17 to 10 type of range. Do think the game stays under.
Okay, I'm going to give each of you guys about 30 seconds here. Josh, Tennessee will win if, and who do you take to win?
Well, I'm going to say Tennessee will win if the front seven on defense steps up in a big way and plays at a much higher level than I think many of us really expect. You've got to hold Benny Snell in that running attack, Terry Wilson backups as well, because I do wonder, do they limit Snell a little bit coming off the ankle issue last week? But I'm going to say the front seven just has to play well. Maybe it needs to be disruptive, get in the backfield and force some turnovers.
Does the streak continue, the home streak for Tennessee, or do they lose it today?
I think they lose it. I think Kentucky wins the game.
All right. Jimmy, how does Tennessee win this game?
I think third down efficiency on both sides will be very important. I think it's going to be a field position game. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. So Tennessee needs to be efficient on third down. They need to stop Kentucky on third down, keep Kentucky from sustaining drives. So I think third down efficiency both ways will be a key for Tennessee.
I think. And are you taking
Kentucky?
Yeah. Okay. Ryan, now you aren't taking Kentucky, are you?
I'm not.
There you go.
Maybe foolishly, I just see Kentucky not playing with as much confidence maybe as they were a month ago. They haven't hit the 20-point mark since September in any game. So the fact that they're not scoring a lot of points means it's going to be a game Tennessee can stay within reach. I just think Tennessee will get enough chances they'll eventually break through and make a play somewhere because they do have some playmakers on this team. I think Tennessee wins, frankly, if they get a turnover or special teams play that sets up a touchdown. They don't have to score on defense or special teams. I think they've got to get a punt return to the 20 or something like that to set up a short field for a score.
That makes sense. I will take Kentucky, but for Tennessee to win, I think they need Kentucky to turn into Kentucky, meaning the Kentucky that Tennessee fans have seen over the years. The Kentucky team that gets an extra point blocked late in the game. The Kentucky team that gets called for delay of game at the goal line. That kind of mistake, turnovers. Tennessee may come out and blow doors. Who knows? But I think the possibility of that happening, slim. My guess, Tennessee wins this game. It's going to come from Kentucky looking sloppy and looking the way Kentucky used to look back when Tennessee was good. Tyler, Ryan, Jimmy, Josh, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. We will see all of you. Let's go ahead. We got a little graphic, I think, but we'll see all of you tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the Sports Source over on WATE Channel 6. and look forward to that. We'll see you right back here on Fox 43 next Saturday at 10:30 a.m. We'll be previewing Missouri. So see you then. See you tomorrow. See you.
This has been a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.